note, though, that the majority of Ecuadorians still support this initiative, regardless of what the president and his cabinet says. And protests are beginning. I just spoke to my contact in Ecuador this past weekend, and she said, yeah, there's more and more protest against how the administration is, well, he set up a couple years ago a terrorism charter where if you're an NGO, that's very similar to what Canada is doing. Environmental NGOs, they could potentially be prosecuted and accused of terrorism. In fact, my contact, which I'm going to talk about soon, he is the president of an NGO for this Andean region, actually where that dot is, that red dot in the orange area. Carlos Soria, he learned about our work in Yasuni and wanted something similar for the Intag region, which is not oil. This is a cloud forest. This is the actual Intag region, but it's copper deposits in this area. So there's a theme here in the work that we've done in Ecuador, and a lot of it has to do with environmental conflict justice issues. And that's an important piece of ecological economics, I should note. If you ever get asked what's the difference between ecological economics and environmental economics, I would say I think ecological economics considers that justice piece. That's equally as important as the efficiency and scale. It's the social justice, environmental justice piece. So those are the common themes between Yasuni and Ecuador. And in Intag, beautiful place, just a couple pictures to show you. We'll have a lot of orchids there, endemic species like the speckled bear, historical, cultural value as well, and recreation. And coffee. So they're looking at alternatives to mining. They're working really hard to look at shade grown organic coffee. They're looking at small-scale hydroelectric to provide, and because they don't want to see this as a reality in the region. And keep in mind, this isn't an area that's in the mountains. It's very steep. It rains a lot, and if you put this in that area, this is Peru in a drier area, you're going to have a lot of ecological problems like contamination of the water, and well, I'm sure that speckled bear would be gone, and so this is not the reality they want. So go to the next slide. They're looking at alternatives. And this is a picture of the mine. I guess if you go to the next slide, the proposed one, I should say. Yeah, that one. You can kind of see the landscape, 3D landscape, I guess. Where do you expect the water to go? These are all farms and where people live. And if they put the mine up there, they would have to displace several thousand people, I think. So the latest is it hasn't been mined yet. There's a history about it, which I won't go into it. The Japanese wanted to get the copper out. They were not successful. The Canadians wanted to get the copper out. They were not successful. The Chileans are now interested, but the latest I've heard as of last weekend, it's not going to happen because it's just not going to be profitable. And they've used our analysis, local communities, to come up with new laws to make sure that it stays in the ground. So this is a picture from Intag. No a la minería. So another place where I've worked was partnering with the David Suzuki Foundation. They're based in Vancouver, Canada. And that's Bishop Desolation Park, I think, in Canada. Although that picture might be from the Guyana. That's great. And that's so this is the scale of the analysis. They just wanted to look at the value of the sound, or the Georgia Strait. And we get this question a lot, is how do we, what's the scale of the area? How do we select the boundaries? Well, we figured if we wanted to look at, when identifying an area, we want to consider the ecology. It's not really political that we want to look at. We want to look at the flows of ecosystems, the flow of water. And so we look at usually a watershed scale when we do our analysis. So we managed to include the riparian areas of the forest that flow into the rivers that flow into the Georgia Strait. And this study was done value is of natural eelgrass beds and salt marshes, how much carbon they sequester. And we found out that marine systems sequester more carbon than forest and terrestrial. And there's papers there that back that up. So as you can see, eelgrass beds, incredibly important. And so that's where they decided to prioritize their efforts at the David Suzuki Foundation, focus on wetlands and areas. And the project that I'm currently working on right now is in the Matsu Valley. And this is an area north of Anchorage. A little town called Wasilla is in it. You might be familiar with that town. And you know, I'm working with a great group of people there who see their community changing, and they don't want to lose their natural capital, their community assets. So they requested a valuation, and so we formed a group called Matsu 2050 with our partners, and the results, this is just an average of our ranges, came out to be almost $1 trillion. So we call it the $1 trillion valley if you use a 3.5 discount rate. If you didn't use a discount rate, if you assumed that people in the future are just as equal as us, then it would be a higher value, and that's where the $1 trillion valley really came from.
Can you explain super fast what a discount rate is? Just really
Super
quick.
fast.
Do you guys know what a discount rate is? Or why would you use it?
Do you have a question?
I know what a discount rate is.
What is it? You know what it is?
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear it.
It's it's a way of saying how much. It's kind of like a reverse interest rate. It's where you say this will be this could be worth this much in the future, but right now it's only worth this amount. Like if you say if I put I want $1,000 in my bank account 10 years from now, and you work with different discount rates to figure out how much you'd have to put in the bank account today.
All right.
That's close, yeah. So basically, you know, we assume that dollar now is more valuable than a dollar 10 years from now. So then we want to provide a discount rate, so that would lower the value, to talk about it in present terms. So in other words, the higher the discount rate, the lower the value, the lower the present value. So when I see a country like Costa Rica saying we want to apply a 10% discount rate, I'm like, that's crazy. But we, you know, want to work with their standards, and you know, at least it's not, you know, at least we're valuing it. I guess that's what I should say to that. But we typically provide a low discount rate, and we provide a couple examples so people can see what happens to the asset value. So when I say asset value, this is looking at a span of 100 years. So similar to so 35.6 billion per year, that's like paying your rent, if you will, every year. And then the asset value is like the total value of your house. That's, I think, the best way I can compare it to. And the way the service is split up, well, majority of the value, based on the literature that we had, came out, scenic value had the largest portion there, and then